Hi there. In this video, I want to talk about how lines and line thicknesses can help you best convey the intention in your image. This drawing here is an A3 portrait, and it was part of one of the submissions for the past semester's architecture studio. In this drawing, I spent a large amount of time figuring out the line weights to best represent the intention or the story which was created for this image. Now, in this image, you can see that there's quite a lot of curves. There's a lot of image tracing sort of done, and that'll be explained in another video. But there's a large amount of curves, but it's still relatively easy to comprehend. You can look into this image and not feel overwhelmed or cluttered, or not feel overwhelmed or have a sense of it being cluttered in your brain. I'll give you an example of how this may be seen as being cluttered. So let's say these three lines here, these white curves, I'll just press Control H to hide the selection. They are sort of on par or similar to the background stuff, like this Pearl River Delta representation, and the what I would call like the new Gold Mountain, I believe. Anyway, it's in the background, and it's part of the background and part of that story in the background. If I was to change this from 0.176 millimeters in thickness, and remember I'm using millimeters because it coincides with Rhino, which will become much later, useful much later on when I'm trying to do everything seamlessly. If I do 0.276, press enter, and now you can see, let's just make it 0.376. Now you can see that there's a competition going on. These white curves are too bold. There's too much contrast. Your eye is drawn to them very, very sort of quickly. And there's like this competing area between these bold chains and the curves. And those curves aren't part of the background story. So you got to figure out, like, what is your narrative? How do you want your viewer to read your image? And then figure out how can you compose that, and how will the line thicknesses best convey your narrative. And you come up with a ratio. You can see here this is like a hierarchy or a ratio between the foreground elements, the background elements, what's most important, what do I want the viewer to see first or comprehend first. In this image, it's the chains. I want them to be comprehended first. I also want the coin and the crown to be comprehended, and then the anchors and the names of the clans which made their way to Victoria for in search of gold. And for example, down in this lower part of the image, I want the red line which connects the enclave of Little Bourke Street to the important aspects of Victoria at the time, the architectural morphology of Little Bourke Street during the 1860s and 70s, and Victoria's Parliament House during that period as well. These elements recede into the background, and the characters can be staged. They can stand on that stage. If I had these elements thicker, 0.223, and as now it's doing its thing, you can see, it's only done it on the right, but you can see how the characters in front have not been, they're hard to comprehend now. So spend a lot of time figuring out your line thicknesses, and you'll end up hopefully maybe with a composition which the hierarchy is obvious and you can understand the narrative and the intention, or that the user can. Yeah, so I hope you found that useful, and if you have any comments, please leave them below. I'm interested to know what your thoughts are about line thicknesses, because it's something I've only really dabbled with quite seriously in this past semester. Cheers.